Call into order the May 16th, 2024 City of Las Vegas Arts Commission at 4 o'clock. We want to call the roll, please.
Vice Chair Hackett Morgan.
Here.
Second Vice Chair Douglas.
Here.
Commissioner Clevin.
Here.
Commissioner Benarchek.
Here.
Commissioner Roberts. Excused. Commissioner Westfield. Excused. Commissioner DeSantis.
Here.
Commissioner Chirk.
Here.
Commissioner Chi.
Here.
Commissioner Lee. Excused. Thank you, Chair. I have a quorum.
Ask the clerk if we are in compliance with the open meeting law.
Monique Westfield.
We are in
Has
compliance.
joined.
We're going to move on to item 3, public comment. Comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. If you wish to be heard, come forward and give your name for the record. The amount of discussion as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed may be limited. Seeing none, let's move on to item 4. For possible action to approve the final minutes by reference of the regular meeting of the Arts Commission and the Education Subcommittee of the Arts Commission meetings of April 18th, 2025, and it's under your tab number 4, Commissioners.
I motion to approve this, Commissioner Chi. Commissioner Douglas, I second that motion.
Eric Roberts.
Has joined.
Oh, all those in favor, please say aye or nay.
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Okay, we're going to move on to item 5, report by Suzanne Hackett Morgan, Arts Commission Vice Chair, regarding a monthly summary of current initiative, current events, and opportunities in all wards. Join us this evening, Thursday, May 16th, from 5 to 7 p.m. for 3 artist receptions at City Hall. Southwest Artists, The Influence of Sculpting Using Found Objects, Windows on First, I Wonder, by Clara Tang, and Artistic Attack Student Art Exhibition. Free and open to the public in the Grand Gallery on the first floor of City Hall, the Chamber Gallery on the second floor, and outside along the First Street Art Trail. Also join us Wednesday, May 22nd from 3:30 to 5:30 p.m. at the Police Memorial Skate Park to dedicate the new mural by Landry Randrio Mandroso. Come see the new mural, created in partnership with Meow Wolf, and enjoy skate demos and refreshments. West Gowan Road, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89129. The Celebrating Life 2024 exhibition reception and award ceremony will be held on Thursday, May 23rd from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at the Charleston Heights Art Center, 800 South Brush Street. Celebrating Life recognizes the talents of Southern Nevada artists age 50 and better. This is the 24th year of this popular art competition. The exhibition will be on display and open to the public from May 23rd to July 12th, 2024. The dedication event for the Charleston Underpass mural, Color Therapy, by Eric Vozola, will be held on Friday, May 31st from 10 a.m. to noon at Brooklyn's Best Pizza, 241 West Charleston Boulevard, Suite 101. The Art in Public Places exhibition, juried by Darren Johnson, opens on Monday, June 10th at the historic 5th Street School Mayor's Gallery. The exhibition will be open through Sunday, September 1st, with a reception on Thursday, June 13th. Join us on Monday, June 10th at 9 a.m. to dedicate the new murals at the Doc Romeo Skate Park by Nico Rusin and Paints with Care, 7400 Peak Drive. For more information about these events and more Department of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs programming, please visit www.artslasvegas.org or call 702-229-ARTS 2787. Do any commissioners have additional events or happening that they would like to mention?
This is Commissioner Douglas. This Saturday, the Native Youth Art Exhibition is being held at the Nubu Art Gallery and Community Center. This Saturday, May 18th, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. This exhibition consists of students who are enrolled in the Clark County School District Indian Education Opportunities Program, but also those Native American students who are either homeschooled, private school, charter school, and so on and so forth. So the public is welcome to come. We're going to have food, refreshments for everybody, and also the United Way has donated a number of art supplies, back-to-school kits, and those are going to be for the first 100 children. So if you're coming and you're bringing your niece, nephew, what have you, your children, any child will be getting one of those art back-to-school kits. And again, that's going to be from 2 to 4. Let me see what else. And I'll wait for somebody else.
Hello, this is Sapira. I want to share that the FY25 Heritage Fellowship Awards is now open for nomination. This fellowship from the Nevada Arts Council recognized tradition bearers living in Nevada whose body of work has contributed to Nevada's traditional arts heritage. The Nevada Heritage Fellowship is awarded as an honorarium and does not need to be used for any specific expense or project. The nominations now open May 1st. It opened May 1st, and the deadline will be June 30th, and the grant amount is $5,000 with no match required.
This is Commissioner Clevin. Desert Companions 12th Annual Focus on Nevada Photo Showcase event will be at the Barrick Museum on May 31st from 5:30 to 7:30 p.m.
Oh, this is Commissioner Douglas. There was another event that's happening this weekend, super important. Mass Liberation Project is hosting an event on May 19th at 2 p.m. It's the Youth Liberator Meeting, continuing our goals to remove, let me see, I can't read the fine print, but you can go to their website at MassLib Nevada for liberation over incarceration. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Let's move on to item 6, the report by Cultural Affairs staff regarding a monthly summary of current initiatives. And commissioners, I'd like to just draw your attention to item 6 in your binders, where you'll find the report and dates all written out.
This is Mary Sabo for the record. We're going to go through and give you guys some updates. And like Suzanne mentioned, you have your staff report document. So here's a look at our upcoming meeting schedule. Our next regular meeting will be on June 20th at 4 p.m. We will be dark the month of July. On August 15th, we will have our project development subcommittee meeting at 3:30 p.m. and then our annual budget meeting on September 19th to vote on proposed projects for fiscal year 2025. And then in October, we may conduct a public art tour for commissioners in place of our regular meeting, scheduling allowing. If you haven't already, please sign up to receive the Public Art and Galleries newsletter. So this is the best way to receive information about our receptions, events, and opportunities. In the front of your binders, on the inside of the front cover, you'll see a little QR code that will take you to the sign-in page. So you just enter and submit your email address, and then you'll be prompted to select which newsletters to subscribe to. You'll see the Arts and Culture newsletter on there, the Public Art and Galleries, news releases, and a lot of good information. And that's a really good way to find out about things.
Holly Lay for the record. Color Therapy by Eric Fazzola is complete. The dedication is happening May 31st, 10 to 12 p.m. at Brooklyn's Best Pizza and Pasta. So come join us for a fun party.
Laura Machado for the record. We continue our conservation and maintenance of the city's public art collection. We are currently in the process of finalizing our annual inventory. We're just about done. We should have that over to the finance department pretty soon. So we're looking forward to having that wrapped up.
This is Mary Sabo. We're working with Neighborhood Services to complete a mural project at the Health and Wellness Center that is located at 1450 South Main Street. That's part of the Corridor of Hope. The project's evaluation panel selected the design featured here, which is Hope Flies by Jamie Vinsek. Jamie got started this week on the mural on Tuesday, and she's scheduled to wrap up by the first week of June. The Doc Romeo Skate Park mural project is also complete. Nico Rusin and Paints with Care finished up work on the Pro Park Paint project, and we'll be having the dedication event for that on Monday, June 10th at 9 a.m.
Holly Lay for the record. The Down for Anything mural project has, the artist has been selected, and we're currently still working on the contracting. The medical district projects, we're going to start breaking these away into their own separate projects, since a couple of these will be on hold, which is the Wellness Way Gateway and Shadow Lane. Payhor Drive has their 3 finalists working on the RFP, and that will be due in mid-July. And Laura is working on the Rancho Gateway.
The next slide, Laura Machado for the record. We have the Medical District Public Art Project artist presentation happening on May 28th. We have 3 artists that have created design proposals. This is a public meeting. We would ask anyone who's interested in attending this meeting online to please join us and hear about the new proposals for the Medical District, this Gateway project. So all the information is included, the link here. It will also be included in our newsletter. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out.
Holly Lay for the record. Meow Wolf mural at the Police Memorial Skate Park is complete. Artist Eandri Randrimandroso finished the piece way early, so we're excited to get an event scheduled with skaters before it gets too hot. So Wednesday, May 22nd from 3:30 to 5:30, we will be having a party, a skate party with Frasis Skate Shop, who will be offering a demo and working one-on-one with any of the attendees of the event. And Windows on First with Clara Tang, the reception's happening at 5 o'clock right outside. There'll be refreshments from Public Us, and please walk outside and check out the windows if you haven't seen them yet.
This is Mary Sabo, and that concludes our monthly summary. Do any commissioners in person or online have any questions about any of these projects?
This is Commissioner Douglas. Is the Vizola mural going to be power washed before the unveiling?
Holly Lay for the record. Likely not. I've been working really hard on finding a way to do that. It looks like a lot of vendors want to do road closures, and the city is not very excited about that. And I'm trying to work with the departments to maybe see if there's a way our park staff could make it happen. Working on it. And it is tagged right now. We're working to clean that, and before the event, we'll at least have it cleaned, or the artist has been really helpful with offering to touch that up if needed with extra paint.
This is Laura Machado. I just wanted to mention something that's not on the report. But if anyone is interested on the Arts Commission to sit on an evaluation panel that's coming up pretty quickly, if you have any availability next week, maybe come and talk to me after the meeting. We're looking to fill one Arts Commission spot. So if you have availability, thank you.
Pauline Lee present. Sorry I was delayed by the amazing traffic that we have in Las Vegas.
Thank you, staff. Okay, let's go to item 7. It's a report by Michelle Quinn, fine art consultant, regarding the Civic Center Plaza Second Sculpture Project proposals in Ward 3. Michelle?
Hi, this is Laura Machado again. I just wanted to welcome Michelle Quinn today. She's going to share some information and images for potential design proposals for the new Civic Center Plaza Second Sculpture Project. So she'll go through her presentation, and then we'll have questions at the end, and then at the next meeting, we would make a determination. So, thank you, Michelle.
Okay. Sorry, this is the first time I'm driving here, so bear with me. I guess I just... So thank you, Laura, and everyone for allowing me to even be part of this presentation. I know it's unique to have an art advisor come in on these sort of public projects, so hopefully this will be maybe the first of many that we could do together. I've been watching sort of the progress of the Civic Center and had submitted an RFP for the larger portion. I think it was just a disconnect on how I work versus RFPs. But so this, I think, is a great way to sort of introduce how I work as well to you. Obviously, we're looking at the full-scale map of the Civic Center, and we've identified, or you've identified, where the artwork is going to be placed. And this is somewhat of an idea of the scale of the work and a little bit of a rendering of, the placement of the piece, and also, giving an idea of, placement and scale and surrounding area. So we have a lot of planters, which is a nice sort of greenery to surround the piece, I think, as well. And then the approximate size that's been given is about 26 feet in width, 8 feet. Height, I guess, is unlimited to a certain degree. So we were just looking at that as a general scale. And I brought 5 artists to present to you. Just given with the budget, I really looked at sort of ready-made objects, not commissioned pieces from some of the higher-end artists, and just really found sort of what's available and what would be appropriate from the scale and budget perspective. And then also included, we have 2 proposals from 2 local artists. So very rough proposals. I just had them do sort of, initial drawings. We don't have, breakdown of, material budget, blah, blah, blah. But they know the budget. They know what they're working in. And so we're all within budget. We just don't have the fine line details for you yet. So just so you know, I can answer some questions. But so I just went in alphabetical order. Gada Amer is our first artist. I will let you read her biography, but she's obviously been a very well-respected artist for many, many years. Born in Cairo. Her work is very much about sort of the femininity and the female body. Sometimes it's highly sexualized. The piece I'm showing you is not, but a lot to do with the female figure, and so I think it's just an interesting piece. What I liked about this piece, because she has a lot of variations of this shape, that it's also called the heart. And I know that we always talk about this sort of being the heart of Las Vegas and, sort of downtown. So I really thought there was sort of a nice sort of symbolism going on with this piece. You see the female portrait within the piece. So it, it sort of alludes to sort of the female profile. Nothing sexual, nothing controversial, and just giving you sort of different views. But I think the heart just sort of really resonated with me on this piece. So it's just a nice, and it is an outdoor piece, so it's already been, sort of, then that gives you a sense of scale. So I would say probably, maybe the only sort of con on this particular work is maybe scale, but given everything that else is going around it, I mean, obviously we'd probably want to do some planters or something like that. This wouldn't be, just sitting solo on a pedestal. This was just giving you an idea of, sort of different heights that we could do also, just so you can kind of see the piece and have some, I'm assuming there's a landscape architect working on this that could, sort of build around this and also protect the work as well. So I think that would be a great way to sort of, just bring that piece into scale. So it's a little bit more intimate, which I think is nice for that space too. There's a lot of surrounding buildings, so, having a piece that isn't going to, be too overscaled and too kind of, overpowering for that space might be nice. So it's just another way to think about the scale of the piece. Crystal Ramirez is our second artist. She is a local artist from here in Las Vegas. She went to UNLV, and then only recently she just finished her MFA at Stanford University. So I'm sure some of you know her. She's terrific. I included her in a show that we did with the Nevada Museum of Art. So she was one of the first people when I was sort of asked to bring a, what artists can use material. And I think, that's the biggest challenge when we're working with the public space is the use of material and, how do they address the space and how are they going, is it going to hold up within the environment, for one. So Crystal is someone that I thought, naturally could work within this environment. So this is just her artist statement, but she's, been really sort of shifting her direction on some of her work to this breeze block, the breeze block like material. She has a piece up, I think, at UNLV right now that's somewhat similar to the ones you're going to see, but what I liked about the connection part is that she's found this Sarno breeze block style that was invented by Jay Sarno that was used at Caesars. And then she went to UNLV, and the Barrick Museum actually has an actual piece, and so she would be able to cast that piece, but I think also the family might have some original pieces, because I asked her, I said, are you finding a stockpile of these breeze blocks, or where are you getting this breeze block from? So she'll make a cast of the original. So I thought that was a nice idea. So you'll see, and then she likes to incorporate neon into her work, which of course, we are such a neon city, and I think that's such a great sort of connection point. So I think a lot of her work is a really great sort of, it's sophisticated, but it's also, relating to sort of our history and bringing, a lot of sort of, forward thinking into the work. So I did enjoy what she was presenting. She has 3 ideas. So this is the first one, which is somewhat of a sort of undulating canopy. You'll notice the neon on the bottom, and it's something that we discussed. She just kind of put that as a placeholder in your packet, and you will see the phrase that she's addressed, which is it's from an Elvis song, and it says, "I'm just a devil with love to spare." So just kind of a fun, connection, and not too, obvious. But I love the idea of the neon. I love, definitely she wants to scale it up. I think that's something that, once we know which direction, if you choose this, which direction you want to go, we can play with the scale. She does have a neon fabricator. I've talked to her about, I've found a local fabricator here in town that I guess Tim Babington's been working with. So that's an option to talk about the fabrication. She's looking at different material for each particular piece that you'll see has different material. I believe this one would be cast into aluminum, so it wouldn't be heavy breeze. I was like, how are you going to sort of structurally make that work? And so she clarified with me about the material that she wants to use is either aluminum, either sort of somewhat of a foam type, or an actual breeze block. So this would be the aluminum, which would be obviously much lighter and provide the ability to create that shape. And it just gives you a little bit of a sense of scale. And obviously, being a commission, once, feedback is given, if we don't like this, we can always, turn it, and, there's a lot of flexibility here. So that was her first option. This is her second option, which is more akin to one of the pieces that she already has now at UNLV. You get to kind of walk in, so it has this interactivity with it. People can stand within the space, and then obviously when the neon is more prominent, you know, it sort of glows. So it would be really quite beautiful at night too, and with the, you know, and just the reflection that comes through. And so it kind of has this nice sort of glowing effect. I'm also, you know, thinking about sort of safety. You know, I always think about the Richard Serra, you know, tilted arc, but at least this has like a see-through effect, so that there isn't going to be some sort of like hidden danger within inside the piece. So thinking about the public space and what that is. So this would be actually built with an actual cement. So she would do this is where it would be more akin to a breeze block structure. Just by the nature of the way this could hold itself with that material. And then this gives you a sense of scale. And then this is the third option that she developed, a sort of you know, walkway, passageway, tunnel. Same thing. This is where I think she would be looking at something of a foam structure. Not quite sure of that material yet. I think, you know, once we'd understand, you know, what direction to go, we can figure out what the material should be and the longevity of that in an outdoor space and that sort of thing. So I think just looking at the material is something that's, you know, just sort of next step. But I think, you know, I love the connectivity to Las Vegas. I love the Sarno concept. I love, you know, the neon concept. I think there's a lot of flexibility with the text, you know, but I love, you know, just the direction she's going. So I think there's a lot to be said about these works. There's, you know, and I like that she's given us a few options too, so that's nice. The second local is David Ryan. David's been in town for quite some time. He did his MFA here and worked with Dave Hickey, so I always call him like the Hickey disciples. There's a whole group of them. But you know, David works with usually like an MDF and an abstraction and with his form, and so but he hasn't done any public pieces, you know, and I think he just hasn't been given the opportunity. So he was really excited when I approached him about this because, you know, it's just, I think his work would lend, I definitely thought of him instantly that I thought his work would really lend itself to a public space and to, you know, not being sort of mundane public art. So this gives you a sense of, you know, just David's background. He's from Texas, but he's been here for many, many years and has a nice public collection on his resume. But this is the piece that he's proposing, which is very typical David. I think he's given you a good sense of scale. The material, again, is, we'll get into that a little bit like on the last slide, but he's been talking with La Paloma, is a fabricator in LA. I actually know them because they used to do designs for like Oldenburg and Liechtenstein and people like that when I worked for Gemini. So it's a fabricator that's really quite historically important and also very, you know, very well, it would be highly engineered, which I think is, you know, really important in these type of public spaces. So this just, again, giving you the sense of scale, and this was just his placement. So I do love the verticality of this. I do love, you know, sort of polar opposite of, you know, the Gata Amer. You know, also another piece that's kind of filling the space and kind of creating a presence within the space and, you know, creating a moment. I think this would, you know, really give you a sense of like, oh, we're going to go, you know, hang out by here. I mean, there's a lot of photo opportunities within this piece as well. So I think he's really hit it right with the scale. And, you know, David, you know, can work on a very small scale and be really successful and then also work very large. So I think, you know, his work really lends itself to just different types of space and proportion. The material, we talked extensively about material today, and this was a Liechtenstein that La Paloma was actually referencing when they were talking about material together, and it's somewhat of a metal, like, I don't want to say aluminum per se yet, but that's kind of the idea, is like, you know, this type of material would be what he would be looking at to create that piece. Obviously, we've talked about, he likes the idea of the black being not so fragile in the light. You know, colors would be a lot more risky, you know, in terms of fading and that sort of thing. So, you know, he felt that the black was a good not necessarily compromised because he actually does a lot with his work, but it just, really sort of fit well as the mound that you kind of, oops, sorry, go back. I'm going, how do I go back? There, sorry, need a rewind. The mound that you sort of see is also kind of a pedestal-like piece that's also, it's part of the piece. So, but one of the things he talked about was having that material be like playground material, which, really could be a nice just texture. I definitely think still having some landscaping surrounding this, or maybe some, even some like, rock surrounding this just for protection and keeping people to not, climb on it and everything else. But I don't think it would need as much landscaping in the surrounding area. Like the Gata would definitely need some landscaping, but with David, I think it's just about trying to sort of set it apart so that it isn't, climbed on and isn't, obviously, a public, inviting the public to sit on it. There's another material that I'm going to suggest to him. I had worked with Kusama, and we looked at the playground material, and we thought it was almost it looked too much like a playground. So I'm going to suggest another material for him to also think about for the mound, if that's the direction we go. But I do think that his piece is a great shape and a great sort of sensibility. I mean, obviously it's not interpreted in any way. It's abstraction. But I think it does represent, I think, the aesthetic of Las Vegas because, I think most of, like, with Tim Babington and David and that entire generation of artists, I think they all have this very sort of iconic sort of Las Vegas sort of aesthetic that is, very identifiable for here. So I do think that he represents our city in terms of the artistic community. He does show in galleries around the country, and I know he has a gallery in France. So, it is sort of bringing that sort of global and local together, I think, which is a nice connection point with his work and having, a really strong representative of who this arts community has been about for many years. So, because he's been around for quite some time. And this is just a little bit on La Paloma. Donald Sultan, now we're sort of jumping back to kind of old school. Again, I was really just thinking about sort of work that ready-made, that's within budget, but also works really well in a public space. And I just knew Donald has done these sculptures, so if you haven't seen his work, like these sort of floral motifs are very, very common and very repetitive in his work. A lot of color and a lot of shape, just sort of shape and abstraction. But this is actually a Corten steel poppy piece that he's done. He has done these in colors, but I actually think the color ones are all sold out. But I love the Corten steel. I mean, I'm sort of, I also think, from a public perspective, there's like no maintenance on this, which is great. This can live and change and warp and not warp, but, like the color, but patina can shift, and it's really meant to do that. So, from a pure, maintenance perspective, I think it really is, super easy. Everybody likes flowers, so I don't think it's, going to offend anybody. Maybe it's not the most exciting piece, but I do think it's a really strong piece. Like if we only had one, I think it just really does work well. And again, given the landscaping that's going to be going on around it and having the landscape architect work with this piece, I think it could be just really subtle, really sort of engaging, just very sort of Zen garden moment in the middle of Civic Center, whatever else chaos is going on around it. So I do think this is just a strong option, especially within the budget. And it's a nice scale, too. I think the scale actually hits the mark, too. I think it works really well. So it could go on a pedestal. I didn't think it was really necessary. I think, until we understand the landscaping, then you can kind of lift it up a little bit. But I think the scale works. I think the scale, the size, the material, everything, the imagery, I think it all really works really well. So, and my last artist is Hank Willis Thomas, who is a very he's sort of risen, off the charts. Obviously, there's been a strong shift in artists of color, in the last 5 to 10 years. He's been at the forefront of this. He's done a lot of public art. So he's very well equipped to, he's done, more and more public sort of commissions, and more are coming. But this is actually a series of benches, believe it or not, that he's done. And it's really, some of his work feels a little bit more, I don't want to say political, but, very much about sort of, Black identity and culture. But he does have this reference to a lot of comic books in his work, so it does connect. At first I was like, oh, is that a disconnect to his body of work? But he does have a lot of reference to comics, so I just thought these were kind of great. So the bubble benches, there's several to choose from. I sort of focused on the orange, but I mean, people can sit on them, which I think would be really nice. I think that's just kind of a fun idea. I think, most people think everything has to be so standoffish. So while we're trying to block everybody from all the other sculptures, you're welcome to come and sit on this one. And I think just a nice green space around it would be great. And again, brings a focal point to the center of this, area, which I think is a really nice space. And, only $140,000. So I love the orange. And so I placed the orange. So the scale is really nice. It's not small, I mean, I think it really gives a sense of space, and a sense of place for this area. I also think sort of this, like this, along with David's piece, I think, they both would work really well together. I think there's just that kind of, I don't want to say flat, but, that sort of horizontal scale, that you're looking at. It's, it's not overpowering the space in any way. I think that does work really well. And that just kind of gives you that. So there are other ones as well. I feel like this is probably not as interesting. I mean, I think this one would work well if it is like in a collective grouping like that. I think is fun. But it's just, I mean, and it's just sort of unexpected. I think that's what's nice about it. Most people would probably be like, oh, what is that? I mean, I just think it would just make people stop and think, I mean, where so many public art pieces you just walk on by because it's just so uninteresting. So, so I just think that this piece would just be a really nice, conversation starter for many people going through the space, and all the different people that are going to be, in this area. This one feels a little risky, well, maybe too sharp ankles for me. I don't know. That's what I worry about. We've definitely dealt with a lot of, you don't want someone like walking into it and poking in themselves or something like that. So that this one might scare me a little bit, but it's just to give you an idea of. So these were out in Rockefeller Center. So they're meant to withstand people and traffic, and they know the paint is sturdy. It's, all of these artists, do their research, and so these are already sort of made. So these are why these are, not a commission. This is actually another piece of his, which actually now speaks to a little bit more. I don't want to even say it's political, because he's actually just talking about, it's like a peace sign, so not political or victory. But he does have a lot of work where he references, this is actually a cast of his own arm. So it's a lot about sort of the male body, and, I think a lot of different sort of cultural references. So there's a lot of duality and meaning in the pieces. So I do think this is just kind of a great installation. So you just see this as a bronze. He's done it in different, he's also done it in a stainless, but the bronze, again, would be a great outdoor piece. Again, you don't have, fairly low maintenance. You probably would have to wax it maybe a couple times, like once a year or like every other year or something like that. But I think it would be very low maintenance. Again, we could work with the landscape around it. How would we want to present it in context of the space, and if it's, but there is something nice too. I mean, even like a peace sign within the middle of a civic center, I mean, there is this kind of meaning to that I think actually works really well too. I mean, it's like, you've got whatever, sort of events and type of work that's going on in the surrounding buildings, and then, in the middle you have a peace sign. So it's, I think there is something kind of nice about that message. And this would just be on a lower one. I thought it was kind of nice. This is a different one that just kind of gives you a sense of the other material. It's a great piece. I'm not sure basketball would be the right, message in the middle of a civic center, but it's a great piece. So, I think people, would enjoy it. But again, it's just giving you a sense of some of his other work as well. So not meant to be overly political, but he creates this kind of totem, and I think it's so beautiful. And so, that's just how it looks, in someone's garden. So art can be anywhere. And so those are all my choices. So do you have any questions?
I do.
Yeah.
Commissioner Chi, for the record. I've been in corporate marketing for over 30 years. When I provide direction to artists to create an ad, anything from scratch, I always start with a creative brief. That strategic document discusses what the creative mandatories are, such as in this case, you're giving them the dimensions, the size, the space, has to be of this material. So given all these very, very different in tonality, what was the creative or what was the strategic direction you gave these artists to present these as concepts? Because some are whimsical, some are very formal. So what was the strategic direction you gave to get these bids?
So I work differently. I don't actually give artist direction. Because I think it's really up to the artist to decide what is appropriate for the space. So the ready-mades those are just already available, and I just know they're available on the market. So I just went to the dealers and said, what's available. We have no connection directly. We're not speaking directly with the artists. With David and with Crystal, we talked about, I know their work. So again, I'm not giving them direction on their work because I know their work is strong and it's up to them. I just said, think about scale, think about this, just look at the space. What do you think would work within this space? I gave them a budget and I gave them, the parameters of the space, and they came back to me. Because I think it's really important that, yes, they're all very different, and that was the point of, that's what I do, is like, I want to give you options. I think dictating the artist, you wind up with banal, very watered down choices if you over dictate to what the artist is. So, I think all 5 of these are great examples. I think whichever one you pick, because that's what I always wind up doing, it's like, I'm going to come to you with 3 great choices. Whichever one you pick, I'm going to be thrilled with, because I think I've come to the table, I've eliminated a lot of garbage, basically. And I'm like, that's not good, that doesn't fit, this doesn't work, so, my criteria is what fits great with this. So really, it's my criteria is really what's kind of more important. Budget, for one, so we stayed within the budget. 2 is also material. What's going to, do these artists really understand Las Vegas heat, sun? Even Crystal and I talked about wind, and even David and I talked about wind, and La Paloma addressed the idea of wind factor with his piece. And I'm like, well, maybe the angle, maybe we have to think about a wind study or something like that. So I think those are the things that are most important when you're looking at the criteria of the space. I think it really changes the direction of what you get in terms of quality.
This is Commissioner Douglas. Hi, Michelle Quinn. I don't know
How
if
are
we've
you?
met before.
No, hi,
I don't
nice to
think
meet
so. I think you've sourced an amazing short list of 5 superior artists, all that have amazing, works, and I'm familiar with a couple of them. I really like the idea of what is this, with Hank Willis Thomas, but also when I was looking at it, it's like, that looks like fun, but does that look like fun in 120 degrees in the summertime when people are trying to, interact with it?
Yeah.
But it's a really good idea. But also when you think about, like, I know you mentioned a couple times, not political, trying to keep those things out. When we think about just how important the Civic Center Plaza is and how over the past few months, the city has come under fire for, why didn't we pick a Vegas artist? Why wasn't there a Las Vegas artist who was involved with the first sculpture, the main one? And when I think about that, and I think about, we have 2 very fine Las Vegas artists out of this bunch here.
Yeah.
And with Crystal Ramirez's work specifically, she's leaning on nostalgia. She's thinking about, old Vegas. She has this, pulse to, the city and a lot of history here.
Yeah.
And when I see the beautiful neon of this breeze block and see the materiality, and I could really, I feel that that would be such a strong piece within that place that the community can really get behind.
Yeah.
And even with David Ryan as well, I mean, this is very, abstract, very interesting, something to, build some conversation about. But also, I just wanted to just mention it and put it on the record. We do have 2 Las Vegas artists, for this very important project, and it would be something to really think about when we're considering a sculptor for this. Thank you.
Can I interject with a suggestion? Because I don't know where the other piece stands, the main piece. Why don't you just scrap that and we'll do both these artists there? I mean, what if Crystal did a huge tower in that center space? How great would that be? And line it with neon, and it would light up the center of that entire plaza. I think that would just be such a phenomenal piece. I just think, wow, and it creates, again, a sense of space and place and home and connection and identity to the community. And, she's a female artist, she's a Hispanic artist. I mean, there's just so much, positive about, Crystal's work, I think, that bring so much, what art needs to be and how we want to start evolving, to the table. I mean, I would honestly just move past the previous decision and let's start with some new ideas.
Commissioner Lee, on the record, I agree with Commissioner Douglas. I really think there's something to be said about having a Native artist, and the fact that she's actually trying to incorporate elements of our history, right, and what the Sarno family has done. I really like her piece. I really like the concept. What I don't like is the piece that looked like a tent, because I'm afraid it's going to attract a lot of homeless people, and I would like it to have a lot more dignity, and maybe something that you can intertwine with maybe plants, so that it has to. The first piece is kind of like a tornado, right? Am I wrong?
Let's go.
Right. It's a wave, and so if she could have like a big piece that looks like a wall with flowers and the landscaping, that would be great. But nothing that like a tent, because I'm afraid of what it will attract and the amount of maintenance it's going to create for us in terms of costs. And I also, we're thinking the same way, because I'm looking at I think it's Hank Willis Thomas. How cute is some of this stuff? I mean, and I say that the fact that you have a bubble, and this is especially the thought bubble, right? Where you have little circles. This is a thinking place, right? I mean, this is where
like that connection.
The great thoughts are being turned into reality. So those are at least my preferences. I really like Crystal Ramirez because I think she's Native, and what she's doing is to incorporate our very valuable Las Vegas history. So thank you.
And just to respond to that too, the wave, the tent one, can you go back to that image?
Yep.
Darn, I just called it the tent one. Damn it. I'm sorry, really
I call it a
sorry.
canopy, so.
What if this beautiful wave was actually flipped on its side and people could see from the left and right of this?
More like a wall.
Maybe yes.
Yeah.
Like a wall and beautiful cacti around it. I could really see some beautiful natural landscape around this piece specifically.
Making it more sort of curvilinear like this, but, like having it stand vertical and not be,
Yeah, I would be worried because I have seen this piece at the Barrick Museum of Fine Art, and you go into it, you interact with it, it's really beautiful. I would be worried of just anybody coming in and kicking the neon.
Yeah.
How protected can this work be?
Yeah. I wonder if it also, though, too, I'm worried about climbing, like people climbing on it.
Put cacti around it.
So, or just a small barrier or something, or even a rock, but, maybe a wall. I mean, listen, I know, Crystal is super excited to be, and I know she looks for feedback. She asked for my feedback, and I kind of helped give her some direction, but I didn't want to push her too far until we knew, where we were going. But, I think, like some sort of undulating wall would be really nice, yeah. And then maybe the neons on top, and so that it's not going to be, so easily, in the public and damaged.
Commissioner Lee, so on the record, if you could make it so that it looks, if it's vertical, and it to complement the first piece,
Yeah.
it looks like a wave itself, so it comes up,
Yeah.
so it actually provides shade.
She can do, multiple shapes. I mean, we could just let her sort of play with it a little bit and just see where the, where the line goes, that's why I think it's good to give the artist just like, well, what if, just think about this, just flip it, that's a great idea, flip it on its side and then, work with that shape and see what you could come up with, and let her play with it a little bit. I love that idea. I think it's it's a great direction.
So is Commissioner Chi, so is
This
the,
is Commissioner Roberts on the telephone. It's been an interesting exercise for my part. Usually experiencing art visually, I've not been able to see anything that you've discussed, and I've kind of experienced this through your words as you described each of these pieces of art and trying to put them together in my mind. I do want to echo some of what's been mentioned by Commissioner Lee and Commissioner Douglas. I agree wholeheartedly that this is an opportunity for us to celebrate Las Vegas architects artists in this second piece. And I do like Crystal Rodriguez's work. I'm somewhat familiar with that. And from the sound of what you described, I think it sounds fantastic. I know when we thought about this plaza from an architectural standpoint, when we were initially talking about it in my firm, we talked about it as the foyer or the living room of the city of Las Vegas, that this was the place where we met as a family, and it needs to have that thing that gathers us, that is made by a family member. And I think I love the idea and the discussion that I'm hearing here, that someone from us can make a mark there that speaks to our history and is an artistic representation of who we have been and who we might become, synthesized in art. So I look forward to actually seeing what it is, and I hope it matches the spirit of what I see in my mind's eye right now on the phone.
Commissioner Chi, process question. So Laura, are you asking us, how are you going about to vote on this?
So we're having a conversation and listening to the presentation, and then at the next meeting in June, we're going to have an agenda item where we're actually going to ask you to vote on this.
Okay.
So I think that collecting information now and asking questions is wonderful, and then having some time to go through and look at the proposal and really think about it and digest it and come back at the next meeting with what your selection would be.
Okay.
And then we'll have to figure out a process of how we would share that information through the chair, whoever the new chair may be, at the next meeting.
So then, Michelle, what would your number 1 and 2 recommendations would be?
That's tough, because I like them all. I mean, I could give you different scenarios. I love David's because I love his work. I think it just has that energy of a public piece. I think his work would work really well on a grand scale. But I do love Crystal's work too. I mean, I do think they both, that's why I chose them. I mean, this is why, I feel like a consultant like me can come down and just sort of narrow down, like, these are the 2 best artists you want to talk to. I didn't talk to anybody else, I mean, we don't want another Tim Babington because he's so prominent with the Smith Center. It's like, okay, how do you select, the best artists who represent us as a community right now with the right material, with the right size, with the right scale? So I think they're both equally phenomenal. I think you're not going to go wrong. I mean, again, I would why not do a beautiful piece by Crystal on this space and let David do something huge in the middle, I mean, and have them both. I just think, I think, again, he can go as big or as small as he needs to be, and I think there's such opportunity. And I think his work, if he was able to propose something even bigger, it wouldn't be this shape. I'm sure it'd be something totally different, and just take over the whole space. I mean, it's me. I'm being greedy. I want to post spaces, and not even just financially. I just want to see. I think because I feel like now there's going to be a disconnect between the center space and what this piece is about, and I think it's going to really be wonky within that space. I've seen the proposals for those pieces, and quite frankly, I don't really feel like they're art either. So that's the trouble. So I just feel like I want to see two great pieces in the middle of downtown Las Vegas. I'm from here. I grew up here, so I take this personally too. This has been my hometown since my family moved here in 1972. So I know Las Vegas. I know the history of Vegas, and so for me, I take this very personally. So just so you know.
Thank you. This is Sapira. I have a question. Will we be presented with more information in the next meeting? For example, there are some materials that you said.
Well, I haven't asked them to, because we're not paying them a fee. So, part of this is also listen, do the drawings. I paid Crystal just from my own pocket for some renderings. So just so you know, if you wanted to go forward, then I would suggest we pay them a fee. And then we could then have them flesh out their budgets and scale and get a little bit more in depth into what they are. But just from their preliminary scope, what they understand is their budget, and they know that they can do this within budget. So I'm just that's enough that we need, that's all we need to know right now to move forward. If you get selected, we'll dig deeper. That's why I kind of just talked about material today.
It's Commissioner Hackett-Morgan, and Michelle, thank you for a wonderful presentation. You are one of our treasures in this town. We are really happy for your guidance.
I'm happy to do this. Thank you for letting me have the opportunity, so thank you.
For the record, I just would like to sort of lend my support to what Commissioners Lee and Commissioners Douglas have said about Crystal's work. I mean, there's something that really struck me as you started telling the story of this piece.
Yeah.
And, I guess, I love this town too, been here not as long as you, but pretty close, pretty close. And I feel like, I don't know, if we have an opportunity to do a piece that's ours, and not something that's in New York or LA or wherever, something that's ours. And that it has a story to tell. I feel like this could do a lot of good for the town, for our children. The children.
It's all about the kids.
The children. But I just you did a terrific job, and you made it very clear for us to be able to look at it, which is kind of hard sometimes, So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other comments, Commissioners, online or in the flesh? Okay.
I will add, just so you know, the only other artist I did consider was Justin Favela, but he's already working on a project, so I was like, okay. So there was, not to say that these are the only two artists, but, I did narrow it down from there. So, but thank you all, and please, if there's any other further questions, just let me know.
There's always the clown problem, with Sarno's Breezeway.
Oh,
what do we do about that?
The clown problem?
I'm sorry.
I'm not sure. I don't know how to deal with clowns.
There's spray.
But thank you. Good.
Let's move on to item, I got to do all the numbers. Item number 8, discussion for possible action regarding the appointment of Carmen Beals to replace our heroic Jennifer Clevin on the Arts Commission. With Jennifer Clevin replacing Maggie Plaster as the authorized city staff member appointed by City Manager, a vacancy has been left for a commissioner appointed by the Arts Commission. The Department of Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs recommends the appointment of Carmen Beals to the City of Las Vegas Arts Commission. Carmen Beals serves as an associate curator and outreach director with the Nevada Museum of Art. In her role, she curates exhibitions with a focus on African American culture and is responsible for assisting the museum as it increases its offerings of statewide programming. She holds a master's in museum studies from Harvard University Extension School and has a BS in civil engineering from Prairie View A&M University. Beals has worked with the Liberace Foundation for the Performing and Creative Arts, helping preserve costumes, pianos, and other ephemera. She led the curation of the first bilingual exhibit, called Latin Legends, for the Nevada State Museum, Las Vegas. Beals also spearheaded the curation of the first 2 traveling exhibitions on African American history in southern Nevada, which visited schools in Clark County. In 2022, the Nevada Museum of Art unveiled one of Beals' latest projects, an exhibition on Paul R. Williams, the first African American architect west of the Mississippi.
Commissioner Chi, question. Is this to replace just a seat, or is this to put Carmen as the chair?
This is Mary Sabo. This is just to replace a seat. So with Jennifer joining us as a staff member, we only wanted to have one staff member on the Arts Commission, so she's replacing Maggie Plaster, leaving a vacancy. So no officer appointment, just membership.
Call for a motion, please.
Second. Commissioner Lee, for the record, second.
I guess was.
Oh, I would be the first making the motion.
This is
Commissioner Lee
Kiara.
making the motion to approve Carmen Beals.
I'll second that motion, Commissioner Douglas.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Welcome aboard.
Yay, Carmen.
My goodness. All right, item 9, please. Discussion for possible action regarding the election of officers, all wards. If you look on your tab 9, let's see. As we noted in item 8, this item is on the agenda because Jennifer Clevin has replaced Maggie Plaster as the city staff appointed by the city manager. And as we have discussed in prior meetings, staff should not hold officer positions on the commission. Thank you, Jennifer Clevin, for your service as chair for all these weeks and months, and congratulations on the new position with the city. So I'm not sure I need to read this, but might as well because we're all learning. Officers typically progress, so that would bump vice chair up to chair, second vice chair up to vice chair, and any commissioners may self-nominate to serve as second vice chair. Do any commissioners wish to self-nominate for the position of second vice chair? And conversely, are you in agreement on this process?
I so move to have that process approved. No nomination for, I'm not self-nominating for second vice chair. I am too new. However,
Are we nominating chairs and vice right now? Is that? Oh, self-nominating.
second vice chair, I'm not qualified.
Well,
This is Commissioner Clevin. I'm going to nominate Commissioner Bednarchuk. Her tenure on the commission is pretty outstanding, and I think she would make a really great second vice chair.
It's Commissioner Benarchak, and I would be honored to serve. Thank you.
so I guess,
This is Commissioner Roberts. I'd second that.
excellent. So I guess, is there a motion, or are we're approving this? Okay, so can you read back the motion?
Ideally, 3 motions, chair, vice chair, second.
Okay.
Can I do that in one motion?
Sure.
Yeah.
This is Commissioner Clevin, so I move to move our previous vice chair into the chair, so that's Suzanne Hackett Morgan, our previous second vice chair into vice chair, which is Fawn Douglas, and a new second vice chair as Heather Bednarczyk.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Congratulations, and we'll just continue having a good time on the commission. All right, item 10, and thank you, everybody, for the votes and for this opportunity. Item 10, discussion regarding topics for future agenda items. Comments made during this portion of the agenda by individual members shall refer solely to proposals for future agenda items, and any discussion shall be limited to whether or not such proposed items are within the purview of the commission and whether such proposed items shall be placed on a future agenda. No discussion regarding the substance of any such proposed topic shall occur, and no action shall be taken. Are there any comments from the commissioners for future agenda items? Okay. Let's go on to item 11, citizens' participation. Public current comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the commission. No subject may be acted upon by the commission unless that subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, please come forward and give your name for the record. The amount of discussion on any single subject, as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed, may be limited. Do we have any public comment? Seeing none?
No, there's
Oh, there is one. I'm sorry. Please come down. I'm sorry. Yeah, state your name for the record.
Okay. Well, hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Renato Fernandez. I'm an ex-Cirque du Soleil performer, and this year I'll be hosting the first International Circus Festival of Las Vegas right here in our city. And I would like the opportunity to come back and speak when I'm more prepared and have a presentation for you guys. This is my first time here, so that's my goal. I'm here with my fiance, Quincy. We're both circus performers, and we're bringing this culture from all over the world using our connection networks to make this event happen right here in Las Vegas. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So nice to meet you.
Very nice
Thank
to
you
meet
for
you, ma'am.
representing the Cirque du Soleil family, and looking forward to this the show. When is it?
Yes, it'll be November 1st to the 10th. Yeah, we're bringing the artistic director from Switzerland and performers from Argentina, Europe, all over the world into one stage. And the judges as well, they're the world's best producers and directors to give the people the opportunity. We're also getting Las Vegas born and raised performers to give them the opportunity to work on the stage. Some people that haven't had the opportunity to work for Cirque du Soleil or any other companies yet, so that's what we're providing, that platform for them.
I'm sorry, this is Piero. Could you just stick around for after the meeting, because I would like to speak with you?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Item 12, adjournment.
So moved.
All right.